Okay, we'll go live to Vaughan now, where officers from the Special Investigations Unit are speaking to the media about last night's mass shooting at a condo building.
In contacting the next of kin, they have not consented for the SIU to release his name. I have that he was a 73-year-old man.
Was there an exchange of gunfire?
An exchange of gunfire between police
and the suspect?
I don't believe there was an exchange of gunfire. I believe there was a number of shots from one officer, and those a number of those shots would have struck the man, and then he was pronounced deceased at the scene.
So you can't confirm that he was killed by the police?
Resident of this building?
The man was a resident of this building behind me, yes, correct.
Did he live alone? What more can you tell us? How long was he in this building?
I don't have information on how long he has been a resident of the building or who he lived with.
Can you tell us his name?
I cannot confirm his name. I just said that the SIU has been in contact with next of kin, and they don't consent for the SIU to release the name.
Can you tell us where the shooting took place with the police and the suspect? Was it on like one of the what floor it was on?
I don't have information on what floor it was on, but I do understand it was within the building. I believe in a hallway.
How many units?
How many shots were fired?
I don't have confirmation on number of shots. It was more than one.
How many units? Did the gunman go to various units?
Facing forward is your spot, please.
I'm sorry. Did the gunman go to various units and shoot his victims?
My understanding of what took place was there was multiple deceased located on several floors. As far as a motive and that sort of thing, that would be something that the York Regional Police would be investigating as part of their homicide investigation.
How long was it an active shooter situation?
I don't have the information on how long it was being. The information I do have is that police were called to the building behind me for shooting in progress at approximately 7:20 p.m. last night. The man was pronounced deceased at about 8 p.m.
Was he threatening
confirm?
police officers? Yeah. Was he, like, what led police to do that?
Well, I mean, I'd be speculating. However, I would think it would have something to do with the man shooting people.
Did police recover a weapon?
The police and the SIU have recovered a weapon, yes.
Describe the weapon, what it was, like what type of gun?
The weapon was a semi-automatic handgun.
Was there ammunition with it?
There would have been, but however, I don't have details beyond what the weapon was, which was a semi-automatic handgun.
Did the man fire on police? Do we know if the man fired on police?
How long was the standoff between the time when the police saw him and spoke to him and? Yeah.
I don't have specifics on that. All I have is that police were called at about 7:20, and the man was pronounced deceased at about 8 p.m. So somewhere in that time frame.
Was there a known relationship? You were listening to a live update from the Province Special Investigations. I'm sure there are reports out there that there is some sort of common thread or
As I said before, the SIU, really the focus of the SIU is potential criminality involving police and the person who was killed. The focus of the York Regional Police investigation would be motive, kind of more circumstantial type thing. So it would be York that would be investigating the homicide.
Can you just confirm?
I don't have any information as far as any potential criminal history of the man who was killed.
Can you just confirm if he was killed by police and if there was an exchange of gunfire?
I don't believe there was an exchange of gunfire. I don't have information on that. I believe it was one officer who fired at the man, and he was killed.
Did the suspected shooter have more than one weapon on him? I know you said one was recovered. Were there any more handguns or guns?
One recovered. One handgun recovered. That's the information I have.
Can you talk about if there were any life-saving efforts after he was shot?
Yes, the information I have is paramedics were called and the man was taken to ambulance and he was pronounced deceased at the scene.
And so, and in terms of timeline, you said police were called here at 7:20. What time was the man shot and killed? Like, was this an hour later or within, 20 minutes?
Yeah, I really can't confirm that. All I can confirm is the man was pronounced deceased just after 8 p.m. and that the initial calls came in at about 7:20.
Can you provide genders and ages of the victims?
No, however, I understand York is having their press conference at about 2 o'clock this afternoon, so I imagine there'll be further information in that regard released.
And they're all residents of the building, the victims? Is that something you can elaborate on?
I don't have confirmation on whether they were residents. I would suspect that they were, however, I really don't know for sure.
Christy, was it one officer who met the gunman, or was there a group of officers and just one of them discharged his firearm?
My understanding, it was one officer who discharged. There may have been more officers, however, one officer discharged. So therefore, in the context of the SIU investigation, there's one subject officer who has been designated, and that would be the officer who discharged a firearm and shot and killed the man.
I'm sorry, this is the active shooting. Can you, I don't know if you have this information or can share this, but was it on multiple floors? Was it on one floor? When police got the call here, was it to go to a certain floor of this building?
I really don't have information on sort of the context of it. The information I do have and can confirm is that there were multiple deceased located on several floors.
Do you know if he was looking for other victims at the time that the police encountered him?
I do not know. I can't speak to that really. Yeah.
I believe you said, did all the shootings take place in hallways, or did he enter or force his entry into any units?
I can't say. I actually don't know where the shooting specifically took place. All I have is that there were multiple deceased located on several floors.
And where was he shot and killed again?
In a hallway. That's the information I have.
Do you know if he came out of a unit and he had that interaction with police when he came out of the unit?
I don't have specifics on that, no. No, just that it was in a hallway.
And how many shots were fired by the police officer?
More than one shot.
Was there any exchange of, not conversation, but any words exchanged?
I don't know at this time. Yeah. So right now, there's interviews taking place. There would be an interview request for the subject officer, the officer who fired the weapon, and there may be potential officers who would be designated as civilian. Subject officers and witness officers, and then there would be potential civilian witnesses being interviewed. So those investigations are ongoing at this time, and there will be further details released at the conclusion of our investigation.
Was he shot on his floor, on the floor where his unit was?
I don't have information specifically where he was shot, no. I'd have to get back to you.
Where in his body was he struck?
I don't know at this time.
And sorry, did you say that he was actively shooting when he was found by police and killed?
I don't have that.
Do you know what the process police would take to identify the suspect? Like, what would they do after he was shot? Would they
I'm not
go
sure I
through
understand.
his IDs, or like how would they identify the suspect and who he is and what his name is?
The man who was killed, he has been identified. He's a resident at the building. So, yeah. Thank you. My name is Christy Dennett, and it's spelled Kristy Denette, and I am spokesperson with the Special Investigations Unit. Thank you.
I got a question.
All right, that is Christy Dennett from the SIU, Special Investigations Unit for the province of Ontario. Of course, talking about that deadly shooting at that Vaughan condo building last night. 6 people killed. We understand 5 residents and the suspect himself, who you could hear Christy Dennett just saying. 73-year-old man, resident of the building. The family, his next of kin, have refused to release his identity publicly here. But you could hear a lot of questions there about what was happening. But she did say, Jennifer and I were listening to this, of course, live here, multiple deceased on several floors.
On several different floors, correct. And police attended to this call around 7:20, and they say that, the shooter was pronounced dead at the scene, even though they called paramedics at about 8 p.m., a little after 8 p.m. And we don't know the gender or age of the other victims, but York Regional Police will be giving their press conference, their update coming up.
Also, we should point out that the SIU investigator, or pardon me, spokesperson, said it was a semi-automatic handgun that the suspect was using here, and that, again, one officer fired on the man. The man was killed. One handgun has been recovered. So you can imagine just an absolutely chilling scene last night.